Hey guys, sorry for not posting. It's just that my phone I decided not to charge it all day. So happy Memorial Day. And I'm gonna be reading you The Wild Robot. It might look different because I colored it to make it fit my desire. I'm gonna put my name and I put a little stick man on the side. So now it'll be a little stick man. We're gonna be reading chapters 1 through 5. Will you? And then I'm gonna make a series of this. You interested in this book? Yeah. Sorry for the birds. To the robots of the future. Chapter 1, The Ocean. The story begins on the ocean with the wind and rain and thunder and lightning and waves. A hurricane roared and raged through the night. And in the middle of the chaos, a cargo ship was sinking down, down, down to the ocean floor. The ship left hundreds of crates floating on the surface, but as the hurricane thrashed and swirled and knocked them around, the crates also began sinking into the depths. One after the other, they were swallowed up by the waves, until only 5 crates remained. By morning, the hurricane was gone. There was no clouds, no ships, and no land in sight. There was only calm water and clear skies. And those 5 crates lazily bobbing along the ocean current. Days passed, and then a smudge of green appeared on the horizon. As the crates drifted closer, the soft green shape slowly sharpened into the hard edges of the wild rocky island. The first crate rode into the shore on a tumbling, rumbling wave, and then crashed against a rock with such force the whole thing burst apart. Now, reader, what I haven't mentioned is that tightly packed inside each crate was a brand new robot. The cargo ship has been transporting hundreds of them before it was actually swept up in the storm. Now only 5 robots were actually left. Actually, only 4 were left because that first crate crashed against the rocks. The robot inside shattered to pieces. Same thing happened to the next crate. It crashed against the rock. Robot parts flew everywhere. And then it happened to the next crate and the next. Robot limbs and torsos were flying onto ledges. A robot head splashed into a tide pool. A robot foot skittered in the waves, and then became the last crate. It followed the same path as the others, but instead of crashing against the rocks, it slooshed against the remains of the first 4 crates. Soon more waves were heaving it up out of the water. It soared through the air, spinning and glistening, till it slammed down onto the tall shelf of a rock. The crate was cracked and crumbled, but the robot inside was safe. Chapter 2, The Otters. The otters. The island's northern shore had become something of a robot gravesite. Scattered across the rocks were the broken bodies of 4 dead robots. They sparkled in the early morning light. Their sparkles caught the attention of some very curious creatures. A gang of sea otters were romping the shallows when one of them noticed the sparkling object. The otters all froze. They raised their noses to the wind, but they smelled only the sea. They cautiously crept over the rocks to take a closer look. The gang slowly approached a robot torso. The biggest otter stuck out his paws and swatted the heavy thing and quickly jumped back. But nothing happened. So they wriggled over to a robot hand. Another brave otter stuck out her paw and flipped the hand over. It made a lovely clinking sound on the rocks, and the otter squeaked with delight. They spread out and played with robot arms and legs and feet. More hands were flipped. One of the otters discovered a robot head in the tide pool. They all dove in and took turns rolling it along the bottom, and they had spotted something else. Overlooking the gravesite was one surviving crate. Its sides were scraped up, dented, and a wide gash ran across its top. The robot scampered into the rock and climbed onto the big box. 10 furry faces poked through the gash, eager to see what was inside. When what they saw was another brand new robot, but this robot was different from the others. It was still in one piece. It was surrounded by spongy packing foam. The otters reached through the gash and tore at the foam. It was so soft and squishy. They squeaked as they snatched the fluffy stuff. Shreds of it floated on the sea breeze. And in all the excitement, one of their paws accidentally slapped an important little button on the back of the robot's head. Click! It took a while for the otters to realize that something was happening inside the crate. But a moment later, they heard a low whirring sound. Everyone stopped and stared, and the robot opened her eyes. Chapter 3, The Robot. Please don't break down this one. The robot's computer brain booted up. Her programs began coming online, and then, still packed in her crate, she automatically started to speak. Hello, I am Roz in Unit 7134, but you may call me Roz. While my robotic systems are activating, I will tell you about myself. Once fully activated, I will be able to move and communicate and learn. Simply give me a task, and I will complete it. Over time, I will find better ways of completing my task. I will become a better robot. When I am not needed, I will stay out of the way and keep myself in good working order. Thank you for your time. I am now fully activated. Chapter 4, The Robot Hack. As you might know, robots don't really feel emotions. Not the way animals do. And yet, as she sat in her crumpled crate, Roz felt something like curiosity. She was curious about the warm ball of light shining down from above, so her computer brain went to work. She identified the light. It was the sun. The robot felt her body absorbing the sun's energy with each passing minute. She felt more awake, and when her battery was good and full, Roz looked around and realized she was packed inside a crate. She tried to move her arms, but they were restrained by cords. So she applied more force. The motors in her arms hummed a little louder, and the cord snapped. Then she lifted her hands and pulled apart the crate like a hatchling breaking from the shell. Roz climbed into the world. Chapter 5, The Robot Gravesite. I'm not sure how many pages this is. Oh, just 3. Okay. Both otters were now hiding behind a rock. Their round heads nervously poked up as they watched the sparkling monster emerge from the crate. The monster slowly turned her head as she scanned the coastline. Her head turned and turned all the way around. It didn't stop turning until she was looking right at the otters. Hello, otters. My name is Roz. The robot's voice was simply too much for the skittish creatures. The biggest otter squeaked, and the whole gang suddenly took off. They galloped across the robot gravesite, flopped into the ocean, and raced through the waves just as fast as they could. Roz watched the otters go, but her eyes lingered on the sparkling objects that littered the shore. The objects looked strangely familiar. The robot swung her left leg forward and then her right, and just like that, she was taking her very first steps. She stomped away from her crate and over the rocks, and through the gravesite until she was standing above a broken robot body. She leaned in and noticed the word Rosalind lightly touched on her torso. She noticed the same word on all the torsos, including her own. Rouse continued exploring the gravesite until a playful little ocean wave washed over the rocks. She automatically stepped away from it. Then a bigger wave swooshed toward her. She stepped away again, and then a gigantic wave crashed over the rocks and engulfed the entire gravesite. The heavy water pounded against her body and knocked her to the ground. As her dam of sensors flared for the first time, a moment later, the wave was gone, and Rouse lay there, dripping and dented and surrounded by dead robots. Rouse could feel her survival instincts, the part of her computer brain that made her want to avoid danger and take care of herself so she could continue functioning properly. Her instincts were urging her to move away from the ocean. She carefully got to her feet and saw that high above the shore and landing was bursting with trees and grasses and flowers. It looked lush and safe up there. It looked like a much better place for our robots. She had just one problem to get up there. She would have to climb the steep cliffs. And that is 5 chapters. Next time I'm going to read a shorter amount of chapters because how long that took me. Sorry for keeping you here for so long. But I will probably post another one soon or maybe tomorrow. Bye-bye.